Hello Neverwinter. Hot off the madness that was the two-player mode run I did with Gus recently, here is a proper mechanics video for the first boss. So first of all we're running in and we are grabbing the aggro, and you'll notice that we tank very close to her. We tank as close to her as we possibly can. That's because she does a horrible little cone attack.
Red.
Which we have very little time to avoid, which is
Red.
I think they're probably going to end up adjusting that, maybe. This is also a challenge attempt, so you'll get to see if we completed that at the end, I suppose. There's the cone blast.
Red.
You need to basically be
Red.
in motion for this, unless your reactions are incredibly fast.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we also have issues with lag in this dungeon, as with all dungeons. I am not wearing the aggro ring for this, because I don't want to pick up the aggro from those imps and trail them with me, because we don't want them on the boss.
Red.
So, every one of those reds will potentially give you a stack of blue fire, a Rimefire stack. You cannot get any of those in order to complete the challenge. As you'll see, I am constantly in motion, and we are aiming to make sure that the boss is not pointed at the DPS, just in case she does one of those cone attacks. If you'll see, there is a visual tell before she lays down those red circles. She raises her staff in the air, and then the red circles follow.
Expecting red.
Like so. And
lag.
I don't know whether or not these red circle pops are actually tied to how much HP she's losing. I don't think they are. But there may be set points where they spawn in as part of a mechanic. So she may have her timed ones, and then she spawns in what appears to be extras due to that mechanic. The most dangerous imps in this fight are the Rimefire imps. They heal, they pair up with the Hellfire imps and start doing horrible blasts, all sorts of really nasty stuff. So this is a tank specific mechanics video, but I will try to fill in some of the DPS side of things as well. So you might not be able to hear it due to the voiceover, but I'm actually calling every single time a red circle pops. This is because I suspect I'm seeing more reds than the DPS are, but also because obviously they're so focused on DPSing that they might miss certain things. So again, we're staying very close to her. We're trying not to go too far. After you've done this a while, you'll start getting a rhythm for when they're going to, which is going to do the cone blast.
Popping mount, imp up.
During this mob phase right now, and this is probably a good idea for a normal run as well as a challenge run, we're using AoE artifacts, AoE debuffs, all sorts on those mobs to get them down as fast as possible. That's so that I think it's an incubus, can't use his charm, because if you're charmed you can't dodge out of red circles, right?
Spec reds.
And again, staying as tight as possible when we can. At 40% she locks out and then starts going to various different corners.
Mobs.
So we get these big mob spawns at 50% and 40%. I'm actually using the new mount here because it does an AoE debuff effect, which is quite nice. These rail mechanics, it's kind of similar to Vault of Stars. The idea is that you intercept that line, or
popping mount.
If there is a body in front of that line, it won't kill anybody behind the line, if that makes sense. So ideally, you want it to be the
Red.
tank that's in front. It does sting a bit though, especially if you've got any Rimefire stacks or death stacks, etc. Or if you've got a massive group of mobs on you.
Reds.
So a general setup for this is quite a lot of stun companions, so you'll see the Minotaurs running around. Their pull in effect does not work. Most of the mobs in this
Red.
dungeon can't be
Red.
pulled or pushed or moved like that, but they can still
Red.
be stunned. So when you see
Reds.
immune things pop up, quite often
Reds.
it's the immunity to a movement control effect, not immunity
Reds.
to a stun control effect. And again, the role of the tank is keep her pointed away from the DPS.
Reds.
And due to the
Reds.
nature of that cone attack, the closer you are to her body, the less you have to move to get out of its effect.
Okay.
You'll notice that it also does a
Red.
little visual shift, which is also similar to what the second
Red.
boss in the Vault of Stars used to do when it was first released,
Red.
which is quite good fun, except for that one, it wasn't just a visual shift, he would actually kill you when he shifted.
Red.
And you may notice we stopped using artifacts on the boss
Red.
after 50%. Most of the boss encounters in this dungeon, apart from the final one, are actually
Throw him on.
the mobs and the
Red.
mechanics around the mobs are the boss rather than the boss themselves. The boss is sort of incidental. You actually kind of get punished for
Red.
DPSing too hard on the actual boss in these ones.
Do you want to see if we can do a big
I've got
article?
an interesting point coming up. So you may notice that our rogue dies,
Wow.
but because he died and released rather than
Red.
died and scrolled up, that blue stack did not register, which you'll see at the end. So for people attempting the challenge, that's a little tip you might want to consider.
That's fine, man. I think we've all had
Obviously, we're very lucky in this group to have very strong DPS, so losing the DPS is not game over, especially since we've got no death stacks. You may see several. She doesn't like to move, this
Red.
one. I do try on occasion, but you've got to, if you're going to move her, you've got to try and time it for a point where she's not going to fan out that cone blast, because its range is a lot further than the red indicator is.
Red.
I'm
Found that
also
button.
running the AoE stun daily on the tank. I haven't been using it that much in this particular run, but that can be very useful just if you're getting overwhelmed. And I'm actually running the Ring of Darkness as well on this. So once you get down to 20%, you tend not to get another imp spawning, sometimes at 50%, but it's usually a pretty straight burn until around 5%. I think a load of mobs pop up
so
as well.
I think at 15 with a full article, we could bypass a lot of shit with that.
So as you can see, it's very much a dodge and weave game, dodge and weave. But dodge and weave
Red.
without directing any damage directly at your DPS. Just
Oh,
like
we got
that.
it!
One
Fuck
challenge
yeah.
done.
Did you get it,
Mechanics
Jig?
explained. If you like the video, please leave a like. If you like a lot of videos, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.
Suck.